Welcome to the video, everybody. I have a new book that's releasing very, very soon. Soul Reprise. This is a fantasy novel that you can now pre-order right now on Amazon, and it's my second published novel, with the very first being my sci-fi novel, Shattered Prophecy, released back in 2024. In this video, I will be detailing everything you need to know about this book before its July 30th release date. So, what's Soul Reprise about? Who are the characters? And what can you expect going in? Let's discuss. Since the dawn of time, a god known only as the Puppet Lord has existed, entertaining himself by cursing the souls of the living in order to manipulate the trajectory of their lives and play out stories he has crafted for his own amusement. When those he has cursed eventually die, they cannot progress beyond death. Instead, they are forcibly reincarnated into completely new worlds, the memories of their previous lives wiped, yet forced to relive the same life stories the Puppet Lord has constructed for them over and over again. When Vincent Sallow, villain of the Puppet Lord's favorite story, uncovers the Puppet Lord's existence and obtains information on how future events are designed to play out, he uses this newfound knowledge to bend and manipulate the timeline of future events so that for once, he can finally win. But the hero of the Puppet Lord's story, 17-year-old Lucan Kostrave, must race against the clock to not only stop Vincent's efforts and the demise of his kingdom, but also kill the Puppet Lord to end the cycle of reincarnation and free himself and others from the curse. Will Lucan succeed, or is his soul forever doomed to reprise the same life, traumas, and tragedy for eternity? This book is heavily inspired by a story my younger self created. I had a YouTube channel during my preteens, not the same one that I have now, which is long since gone. I would create short films within a variety of online games and post those films to that channel with all of my online friends at the time acting in them. My most popular project was a web series filmed in a very specific online game that ran for 3 seasons, and although it only had a small following, other players would occasionally recognize me in-game, which was definitely a really cool feeling at the time, being approached by fans of the web series every now and then in this game I loved playing. But unfortunately, I never got to finish that series. There was only one episode left, which would have concluded the entire story, but I was never able to make it. So close to finishing the entire story, yet unable to due to circumstances that were, for the most part, outside of my control. Ever since, I've always wanted to reboot and remake that story in the form of an original novel, so that I could finally have a chance to finish it. And that is ultimately how Soul Reprise was born. This book is a reimagined, condensed version of that web series' story. With Soul Reprise, I also sought to explore new themes that the original iteration of the story did not. For example, the primary theme of Soul Reprise is the self-destructiveness of anger and wrath. I have struggled with my mental health a lot throughout my life, especially during my teen years. And as much as it shames me to say this, when I was a teenager, I would often lash out in anger and rage at those around me who I felt wronged by, even going as far as to wound the relationships I had with my friends. It wasn't just my way of coping with all of the overwhelming pain I was experiencing, it was also my way of protecting myself out of fear of being hurt and traumatized by someone again. Even though those I wronged would eventually forgive me for my past behavior and move on, I was still consumed by grief and self-loathing, because I hadn't forgiven myself yet. The process of learning how to not only forgive myself, but learn how to love myself again was incredibly difficult, but I got there eventually. And I am proud of myself for how I've matured evolved and become just a little bit wiser since my chaotic and traumatizing teenage years. My goal with incorporating the theme of anger into this young adult book was simple: to teach other teenagers who are just like how I used to be, the hidden costs and consequences of uncontrollable wrath. That lashing out and hurting other people in your anger doesn't just hurt the people around you, it hurts yourself too. Anger and wrath are poison, and the more you let it control you, the more it wounds and sullies your soul. The characters of Revelin and Vincent are those whose lives have been irreparably damaged due to the sins they committed amidst their rage, and through them, the protagonist, Lucan, sees why he must learn to temper his rage. And through this story, I hope that some teenager out there who is just like Lucan, just like my past self, takes the wisdom and lessons I have learned to heart, and doesn't make the same mistakes that I once did, choosing to temper their own anger instead of allowing it to consume every fiber of their being and explode outwards. Sometimes anger can be a good thing. It can motivate us to rise up, act, and make a difference when we witness wrongdoings in the world or experience those wrongdoings firsthand. But there's a fine line between constructive anger and destructive anger, and it's all too easy to slip across that line into anger that wounds everyone instead of benefiting. Overall, the story of Soul Reprise is one that has been in the making for a long time. And it's nice to have finally put it out into the world, alongside my previous novel, Shattered Prophecy, a story that I also had a deep and personal connection with. And there you have it. That's everything you need to know about Soul Reprise before diving into the book. Soul Reprise will be released on July 30th, exclusive to Amazon for the first 90 days, and then on all other storefronts September 28th. If what you have learned today has intrigued you, then feel free to subscribe to my mailing list, link in the pinned comment below, to be updated on when the book drops.